What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Aeron next from the Wrestle Plug YouTube channel, and a little cheeky extra video for you guys tonight. I am going to give you my predictions for Impact Wrestling's No Surrender, which is going to be on Impact Plus this weekend. And as a very quick aside for anyone who's wondering where they can watch it, you can check it out via Fight TV's app. You can also check it out via the official website for Impact Wrestling, Impact Plus. I believe it's about £5, $5, somewhere around that region a month. You get a lot of content for that, and ultimately you get some pay-per-views too. Very similar to the WWE Network. Seems like a bargain to me, so let's break this card down. We'll start with 6 intergender person tag team action. Decay, Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and the newly acquired Black Taurus from AAA will be taking on the team of Triple XL's Larry D and AC Romero. Of course, they will be tagging with Tenille Dashwood, who has essentially been hired because they're too scared to hit a woman. Fair enough, boys. Fair enough. Don't really know which way to go with this one. Gotta be honest, this is pretty low down my card of expectation. I'm gonna go with my boy Black Taurus though. I love AAA. I think this guy is a heavy hitter. I was very excited to watch him whip Caleb Conley's ass. But ultimately, do I care about this match? Not really. I just want to see Black Taurus give Larry D and AC Romero some sick body slams. It'll be very interesting, actually, to see how Black Taurus interacts with much heavier set guys like that, because his moveset is very impactful. It's all about lifting, slamming, that kind of stuff. Going to see whether that's going to be impacted too much, obviously, by the much more sizable AC Romero and Larry D. But I'm going to pick the heels, even though I want Black Taurus to do well. I just feel that Tenille Dashwood and Triple XL, especially Tenille Dashwood, need something behind them, because Tenille Dashwood, it seems like forever since she last won a match, if I'm being honest, and I feel like she's one of the very few women in wrestling, especially in Impact Wrestling, that is actually really badly utilised. People want to go on the internet, smarks and that. They want to talk about how special Impact Wrestling's knockout division is. Well, Tenille Dashwood, for me, is woefully underused. Speaking of knockouts, there's going to be a 6 knockout tag team match. It's going to be the team of Deonna Purrazzo, Susan, a.k.a. Karen, as I like to call her, and Kimberly, taking on the powerhouse trio that is Jordynne Grace, Jazz, and ODB. Only one winner as far as I'm looking here. There's not going to be any shenanigans, because you're not really expecting anybody to be involved from the outside, because all factors are going to be actually involved in the ring. I'm going to go with a powerhouse team. Grace, Jazz, ODB. How can you look past them? I love Deonna Purrazzo. I think she's the best women's wrestler, and I think it's absolutely right that she's the knockout champion. I will say one thing though, I am quite disappointed that the Knockouts Championship isn't being defended here. All the other titles are on the line. The X Division title's been defended, the Heavyweight Championship and the Tag Team Championships are also being defended, as is the newly crowned Knockout Tag Team Champions. They'll be defending their titles as well. The Knockouts Championship is the only belt not being defended. I get that you've already got a women's title on the card, so it's not like they're completely overlooking their Knockouts division. But for me, I would have liked to have seen Deonna Purrazzo get some more use. Maybe she's picked up an injury that I just don't know about. But I'm going to go with Team Powerhouse. That is, of course, Grace, Jazz, and ODB. How can you go against 3 women with that kind of power and prestige? Jake Something. He's reborn again as Jake Something. The Destiny Wrestling fans from Canada, of course, will know Jake Something very well. Canada's got itself a beautiful flavour going on this card. Jake Something versus Cody Deaner. The Deaners collide. Finally, they implode. This is a hard one to pick, if I'm being honest, because I haven't enjoyed this rivalry all that much. Violent by design, and most likely going to be at ringside. I have to expect some sort of shenanigans at some point, so I'm going to go with Cody Deaner to get the win, but with Jake Something maybe being rescued by a returning Heath Slater and Rhino, which I've got to be honest, I'm not that bothered. I'm really not. I like Jake Something. I like Cody Deaner. I actually think splitting them up was a mistake, because I feel like they had plenty more to offer as a tag team. Case in point, when they fought the North at the Deaner compound for the tag team titles, it just felt like it was a bigger deal. This doesn't feel like a big deal, but I'm going to go with the heels on this one, and I expect Cody Deaner to pick up the win courtesy of shenanigans. Arguably the match I'm least excited about, which is going to upset a few people, I'm sure. Eddie Edwards tags with Matt Cardona to take on the professional wrestler, whatever he's bloody called, Brian Myers and Hernandez. I just don't care. I really don't. Couple of WWE projects going on here. I like Eddie Edwards, lovely guy. I love his partnership with Alicia Edwards. I think they're really good on and off screen. Just feel like a very authentic, lovely couple. But I just don't care about this match. It feels like 4 guys who have just been thrown in. And when I see that the Knockouts Championship isn't being defended, I have to question why a match like this has somehow made its way through the cracks. But I get it. It's got a little bit of star power. Matt Cardona is very well known, especially on the wrestling scene. Obviously, he's got so much past history with Myers. I'm going to go with a real stretch here. I'm going to say that Myers and Hernandez win, and then at the end of the match, I think that Cardona is going to turn heel and join Myers. That's just, you know, I'm just throwing it out there, some random fantasy booking. I'm going to go with that, though. But I've got to be honest. I will watch it, and I'll enjoy it, but this is quite low down a pecking order as well. Now, arguably, after that, the remaining matches, they all look spectacular. They really do. Fire and Flavor will be defending their Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Of course, that's Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. They'll be defending them against Havoc and Nevaeh in a no disqualification match. Now, you would think that would favour Havoc and Nevaeh. Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan have only just won these tag team titles. It doesn't really make sense for them to drop them already, so I'm expecting them to retain, so that's my pick. I actually think this could be a sleeper hit, this match. I haven't really enjoyed much of what Fire and Flavor have done up until now. Nothing against the women. Love them. Absolutely adore Kiera Hogan, and quite random little fact, actually, Kiera Hogan is my mum's favourite women's wrestler. My mum doesn't even like wrestling, but for some reason she likes Kiera Hogan. She watched a couple of Impact Wrestling shows that are on UK television and was like, that Kiera Hogan seems lovely. I was like, she is lovely. Yes, she is. I expect this match to be good, but I find it very hard to suspend my disbelief enough to say that they're going to drop the belts this early, especially when they've only just grabbed them. So I'm going to go with Fire and Flavor to retain. I'll be very excited to see Nevaeh, obviously, because, you know, crush alert. The X Division Championship is on the line. TJP, arguably one of the most handsome wrestlers going. Man crush alert. He'll be defending it against Rohit Raju, who will no doubt have Mahabali Shira in his corner. This is going to be fucking fantastic. Every X Division match is fantastic. Wouldn't surprise me, actually, if it opened the show, just because the X Division has such a rich history of opening the show. If you go back and look at so many Impact to TNA wrestling pay-per-views, the X Division really tended to set a pace for the rest of the show. Arguably, some would say that nobody was able to keep up with that pace afterwards. Nonetheless, this should be a fantastic match. Very excited to see this. I think Rohit Raju is going to get the X Division title back. TJP has kind of been getting the better of him for quite a while now, using the Manic character as well. Obviously, Rohit Raju kind of looking a bit dumb, even though he's, you know, genuinely an excellent wrestler in every sense. Great look, great presence, great promo, fantastic in-ring worker. But he's kind of come up on the wrong end of the stick way too many times for my liking, so I'm expecting him to recapture his X Division Championship. Rohit Raju to become the new X Division Champion at No Surrender is my pick. No doubt thanks to the berserker that is Mahabali Shira getting involved at some point at ringside. The next 2 matches easily could steal this show, and to be honest, I expect them to do so. The tag team titles are going to be on the line. The Good Brothers, yes indeed, the only 2 people I like out of this brand new bullshit Bullet Club fucking knockoff nonsense they got going on AEW. My boys, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. It looks like they're going to beat up Private Party, and then when they're done doing that, they're going to beat up James Storm and Chris Sabin. Now, originally, this was meant to actually be the Good Brothers defending the titles against Private Party. One team versus another. And then, after what we saw in Impact and all the shenanigans that were involved in the disqualification ending courtesy of Private Party, we now have James Storm and Chris Sabin inserted into this match as well, making it a triple threat rules match for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships. I still expect the Good Brothers to retain. I wouldn't be surprised though if Private Party come out with this, especially with the way they've been booking AEW as of late. Matt Hardy seems to be becoming more prominent. I noticed Matt Hardy also picked up the services, shall we say, of Hangman Page on AEW Dynamite this week. That being said, do you really want to take the belts off of the Good Brothers? They feel like they're the biggest draw out of everyone involved in this. No offense to the other 2 teams who are both fucking fantastic and I love dearly, especially James Storm and Chris Sabin. That's a real good factor. fun fact actually, James Storm and Chris Sabin actually took part in the very first No Surrender back in 2005, if you can believe that. James Storm actually tagged with his long-term partner back in the day, part of America's Most Wanted, Chris Harris. They actually defeated Matt Bentley and Alex Shelley on the first No Surrender pay-per-view back in 2005. Obviously, Alex Shelley, who is, of course, the long-term tag partner who will be tagging with this weekend. And Chris Sabin was, of course, actually on the first ever No Surrender as well, 16 years ago, facing Samoa Joe. So, fun little fact for you guys there. Very cool to see them still here and, frankly, looking just as good as they did 16 years ago. But I think the Good Brothers are going to retain here. Just kind of makes sense. You know, big draw. Being on AEW as well doesn't really make sense. Omega seems to be getting booked right now, kind of like John Cena. He can't lose. And ultimately, I'm expecting, you know, it just wouldn't really make sense if the Good Brothers kind of turned up on AEW Dynamite. Hey, where's your tag belts? We lost them to Chris Sabin and James Storm. Awkward. But you never know. Either way, I expect this match to be fucking fantastic. 6 great workers. The pace is going to be lit, but also what I love about it is they're very professional workers. Private Party are going to really add the high octane, high athleticism to this match. You know that the Good Brothers are going to have all the kind of hilarious shenanigans and everything that they bring to the party. And then, of course, you've got the seasoned veterans that are Chris Sabin and James Storm, who I expect to kind of bring the pacing down a little bit. But hey, with Chris Sabin, you never know. That guy is still a firecracker. He's going to be 50 years old. He's going to be more athletic than any of us. What an amazing tribute to how good James Storm and Chris Sabin are, that they were at No Surrender in 2005, and here they are 16 years later at No Surrender 2021. This is going to be fucking awesome, okay? No mincing my words here. We have a triple threat revolver match, the first of its kind, to determine who will be the #1 contender for the X Division Championship, which of course is being defended by TJP against Rohit Raju. So who's going to face the winner of that match? We're going to find out with this blockbuster. I cannot wait for this because it actually has pretty much all of my favourite wrestlers all in one match. Stoked. Unbelievably stoked for this match. I think it will start as a triple threat, and every time somebody is eliminated from this match, they'll be replaced by another person. It will continue to be a triple threat until ultimately there is just one man left standing, kind of like a triple threat gauntlet of sorts. That makes it highly unpredictable, which is very cool. I have no idea who's going to win this match, but I've got to make a pick. Otherwise, what's the fucking point of me sitting here doing predictions for you guys? And by the way, just as a reminder, of course, I'd love to know who you guys have as your picks for this show. So leave them in the comments below. It'd be fantastic to kind of sit down after the fact. Of course, I'll be reviewing it for the YouTube channel, and it'd be absolutely awesome to see what you guys think and also who you guys picked, who was right, who was wrong, and what you think's going down at No Surrender. This match will involve Ace Austin, who of course won the X Cup. No doubt he'll be accompanied by Madman Fulton. Blake Christian will be involved. Chris Bay, Sean Daivari, our boy Josh Alexander. Come on! The fittest man in all of wrestling. Suicide, Trey Miguel, and of course our other boy, Willie Mack. Chris Bay, Willie Mack, Josh Alexander. Arguably 3 of the best wrestlers in the world and 3 of the most underappreciated wrestlers in the world. This is a tough one because I love so many guys in this that I'm going to go with Josh Alexander. Not just biased, but he seems to be getting a push right now. I think that's the right time. I think he is a future world champion. I think it's now or never. They really should make him a world champion. When he was at Destiny Wrestling, and he still is, to be fair, they've proven just how special he can be as the guy in the company, and he's wrestled some very special talent. So that speaks volumes for how special Josh Alexander is, and I'm going to go with Josh Alexander to pick up the win here as well. Although look out, of course, for Chris Bay, Willie Mack, and Trey Miguel, 3 guys who seem to be on a tear. Trey Miguel as well has been getting quite the push. Trey Miguel not wrestling Sami Callihan at this pay-per-view, so I'll be very curious to see what goes down here. I'm expecting him to lose out in this match because of shenanigans from Sami Callihan, so look out for that. I'm going to stick with Josh Alexander though. And closing out the show for the Impact World Championship is of course Rich Swann versus Tommy Dreamer. Bit of a weird one this, because I'm a little bit more invested, particularly after that magnificent and impassioned promo by Tommy Dreamer at the end of Impact. However, Moose is lurking. A little bit disappointed that Moose isn't going to be wrestling on this show either. They really seem to have earmarked him as a huge megastar of a talent going forward, and maybe the idea behind that is that they don't want to give away too much of him because they're going to be using a lot more of him down the line. That's just the way it seems to look from my perspective. I'm kind of excited excited about the idea of Moose being at the head of the company very soon. I think Rich Swann, this is going to be fantastic. Obviously, this is a feel-good kind of match. The idea being that Rich Swann is going to give, Tommy Dreamer on his 50th birthday this magnificent kind of last big hurrah. Can he win the World Championship? For me, no, he can't. I think this is the most predictable match on the card. I don't see why it would make any sense to have Tommy Dreamer as your Impact World Champion, particularly when you've got Rebellion lurking. There's probably going to be a little bit more nonsense involving AEW down the line. Not to mention, of course, you have the fact that it's very likely that Moose is probably going to be the world champion soon. I wouldn't be surprised if Moose actually captures both world titles because he's already the TNA champion, if you recognize that belt. I expect him to capture both titles at Rebellion. That's just my kind of fantasy book and my predictions of what's going forward. As you know, I'm not really interested in what the dirt sheets have to say. Not interested whatsoever. And if you are, good for you, but I couldn't give a flying fuck what things like PW Insider think. And ultimately, they don't care what I think because they block me on Twitter to fucking melt. So it is what it is. But yeah, I expect Rich Swann to come out on top, and I thoroughly expect Moose to beat the living shit out of him at the end of this pay-per-view. That's it as far as my no surrender predictions go, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to know what you think. That's why the comment section is down there. There are 9 matches on this card. And even though there are a couple of matches that I'm definitely not that invested in, I'm still going to be watching the whole thing. I will be checking it out on Saturday, hopefully live tweeting along. And of course, the following day, there will be a YouTube review available. So make sure you look out for that. But that'll do for now, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Obviously, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications of all of our videos going forward. And don't forget as well, NXT Vengeance Day. We have predictions dropping for that on this channel too. And we will be covering that on the podcast. And the review will be the YouTube video where we give away a free t-shirt or a free piece of art. That will be up to the winner's choosing. But from myself, Aeron, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Blog.